主播，请问这是0.5.5发表会还是决斗者发表会？我怎么知道？我真的没有办法说明我的失望。是根本没有东西，力头大的是根本没有东西好吗？那他好意思出新版哦？你好意思经济重置哦？你好意思出发表会哦？好意思这边拖着我他妈3点不睡在那边看发表会
？It's been a lot more work than we expected. So rather than deploy something substandard, we decided it would be better to take our time with the balance changes and just release the Event League anyway. All those balance changes that were slated for 055 will now be happening in 1.0 instead. The full release patch is shaping up to be a huge one, and if you haven't done so yet, you can acquire exclusive
available in the 1.0 release.
OK， 12月11号，确定决斗者是10月11号。哎，为什么要突然变小声？是官方自己调的哦。你们会觉得声音太小吗？要大一点吗？
Along with the 055 update. And after all that, a Q&A with Ziggy D to answer your questions from Twitch chat. But not only that, afterwards we'll be going straight to the final qualifier for the POE2 races, the winner of which will be going to ExileCon in November to compete in the finals. But first, the Duelist. Now the Duelist comes with a new weapon type that it's kind of crazy we didn't have, swords. And with each new weapon type, we want to make sure that the playstyle feels different to all the others. So what defines combat with a sword? To us, it's that feeling of flow, from attack to attack, and from stance to stance. And what better place to demonstrate the duelist's abilities than the ruins of the Grand Arena? The corpses of the dead continue to fight endlessly as the arena collapses around them. And should you get to the center, you'll be able to face Thrax, their champion. The first mechanic we need to talk about is Ready Stance. After using some duelist skills, you can keep holding the button to ready your blades for your next strike. Normally, your basic sword slash would look like this. But in Ready Stance, it turns into a deadly AoE slash instead. Your Ready Stance also has the ability to be upgraded. This is Sand Scout, another Ready Stance attack. And if you stun enemies with it, you'll enter Sand Stance.
哦，进到杀形态要晕眩敌人。所以你不能够按一个光环就好，你要主动做某些事情来进到杀形态跟血腥形态。
This skill is a triple stab, where the third strike sends out drills, leading your enemies.
所以一定要吼啊！你一定要先吼出一个杀形态，你可以做后面的事情。
If you use it from Sand Stance, though, it will send out a bunch of mini sand discs from every enemy it hits, perfect for large packs. Together, these basic abilities give a very unique feel to sword combat. It's quite different than any other class we've made, flowing from ability to ability. There's also some abilities that you can use while in Ready Stance without breaking it.
我们现在看不到。
A good example are war cries.
它底下有1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8。
Use it to deliver a cutting insult to your foe.
哎，真的很像魔域人太刀哎，真的很像太刀哎。
Another great ability you can use already is Rending Dash. This movement skill slices through monsters.
OK， 哦，蓄力的散打，应该说蓄力的往前冲，啊，看起来像散打。
Sand stance to tackle these enemies. But what about blood stance? For that, we'll need to switch from two-hand to dual wield. Now with swords, we wanted to make sure that the different options of one-hand, two-hand, or dual wield each have their own interesting playstyle. So unlike other weapon types, dual wielding swords gives you the ability to parry attacks.
哦，你要双持才可以招架。
When using this one with default attack, you'll create a deadly blood wave, causing your enemies to bleed. And of course, blood stance will also work with other skills that benefit from stances. So use it with Perforate, for example, and you'll get a bunch of mini blood novas. Once your enemies are bleeding, you might want to try out Hemorrhage. This skill creates deadly blood slashes that drastically speed up the bleeding on your enemies. And once the enemies have built up enough blood loss, slice through them with a Rending Dash.
血形态是主打流血。
Now,
只是血量那刀怎么感觉是比较烂的血裂啊
Cyclone. It's an absolute fan favorite, and just like before, when using it, you can spin to win. But this class is all about using stances. So how about we try it with one of those? Use Cyclone from Sand Stance, and you'll be spewing sand discs at your enemies left and right. Great for AoE clear. Now Parry also had a significant upgrade compared to before, and it's a lot more reliable now. But there's also another way to parry monsters that doesn't require waiting for them to attack you. By switching to a shield, you can now bash enemies straight out of ready stance to parry
哦，
them
你现在
without
可以
waiting
直
for
接
an attack.
蓄力攻击敌人，去打出黄点。就是单手剑的盾牌的好处，就是你可以直接视为敌人失衡。
During the arena's heyday, challengers would first have to face deadly beasts to test their mettle. So why should it be any different now? Before you can face
你可不可以喝
threats,
水啊？
you
你
need
的
to
血
defeat
啊！
these
你可不可以喝
dangerous
水啊？
adversaries to prove your worth.
这老哥会不会玩 POE 啊？可不可以喝水啊？哎，好燥哦！他
Another
可
trick
不可以
the
喝水
duelist has up his sleeves are buried blades. Earthrend creates blades that slice through the ground towards your enemies. And once in the ground, these blades have a few uses. The first one of these can be done using charged slash.
留下
The
第
basic
四
version is，a
又是
simple
留下第
lightning
四的
infused
东西
cleave,。but do it from ready stance, and it changes into a deadly spin, sending out lightning projectiles.
哦，没事，怎样？
Charged
近战闪电
slash
长
can
矛
also。be used with the buried blades. Hitting them will turn them into mini Tesla coils, dealing lightning damage to nearby enemies. It seems here we have a warrior who refused to die. I'm sure we could put his equipment to better use.
其中一个事件是吧？可以捡别人的东西，这个店面跟幻化守卫一
You can
样。
also switch to a two-hander to plunge your blade into the ground, sending out a set of 3 blades that explode. But if you use Earthrend first, then you can get even more blades, and the blade plunge will make all of them explode.
可以舔包、哦
If you
那
want
我要
to even
去
greater
时光路那
field
边
blades,
进他
using
们，
ready
等
stance
他
with
死掉之后
Earthrend
就
is an
舔包。
interesting effect. Instead of creating one blade, it makes an entire wall of them. You can also hold the blade plunge skill.
其实
and
这
charge
个
up
看
the
起来
swords
蛮
even further before they
哦，
explode.
它可以充能哦。
Ooh, watch out for those chimeras. So for maximum damage, use ready stance into Earthrend, charge them up with charge slash, and do a held blade plunge for a massive explosion. But that's not all. Blood and sand work with the blade plunge too, to empower all your buried blades. Use it with sand to generate continuous sandstorms around all your blades. And this can be a devastating combo to blend bosses. Or use it with blood to create blood pools around each blade. Cycloning through the blood pools will add blood to your cyclone, so that can be a fun option. But while we're talking about that, Cyclone counts as a
可以沾
storm,
沾地板。
so it can pick up other elemental ground effects too. Blade Conduit will summon a bolt of lightning to your blade and create shocking ground, and cycloning through it will add lightning to your cyclone.
哎，
Combine it with the blood to get both effects. And of course, it's possible to get blood, sand, ice, fire, and lightning all at the same time on your cyclone.
感觉是一堆猴戏，然后弄一个旋风斩，然后转整场哎。
Already you can see from
感觉
just
应
the
该是这
tools
样
I've
子
shown
哦
you,，
就
this
是
class is a lot
弄一大堆
of
开
different
开场
combinations
弄一大
of
堆
moves.
猴
With
戏，
even
然
just
后
a few
那个旋风
skills,
斩直接
there are
按
a huge
按
number
着
of
不动
options。you can do in combat. Now, before we get to the boss fight of this area, there's just one more skill I'd like to show you. World Cutter.
那个蓄力斩吧，蓄力大斩那个东西，对。
But that's not all. Like so many of the duelist abilities, it can be further enhanced with blood stance, or sand stance too.
OK， 斗争特工，
Alright, so those are just a few of the tools the
女
duelist
剑
has
士
at
来
his
了
disposal. So let's use them to face the true threat, Thrax, the champion of the arena.
OK， 格挡。哦，OK， 完全不会痛。看起来电很大，可是完全不会痛。哦，这的技能真帅耶！他也会旋风斩。 根本没炸到，他刚刚那个根本没炸到他。这个最痛哎，其实好像是这个最痛哎。你先进到杀形态，然后在那边蓄力。哦，他也会沾地板。 对面也会占地板。好像这个最痛呢，可不可以找一个会玩一点的人玩呐、他不要再封 A 了，好不好？
All right.
他刚前面到底在演什么？
What we have in store for the Duelist.
他就一直蓄力就好
I've
了。
ever worked on, and provides a really dynamic combat experience.
到底你在刚前面在演什么？
ARPG.
就一直蓄力就好
We
了。
also wanted to show what kind of possibilities there are for the Duelist in the endgame. To do that,
他刚
I'll
前
hand
面
things over
直
to
接
Mark.
按住蓄力就好了。
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile. Today, we're going to go through 2 in-game builds that we've put together for the Duelist made by our developers.
哎呦哎呦哎呦哎
Our
呦！
first build is called the Bringer of Blades, a mighty name once fed in the
不是
arena.
啦，这决斗者是这次要出是不是啦？到底是怎样啊？你们可不可以不要再介绍了？这个东西可以之后
Each
留着
sword
热度
created by
吧？
this build is from a foe slain in battle in the gladiator arena, and from the afterlife, they offer their sword back to you in respect. The bread and butter of this build uses Earthrend, supported by the lineage support Calm's Madness, to maximize the efficiency of creating buried blades. It combines that with the Blade Conduit skill, to charge up all the blades with lightning.
谢喽谢喽。
You can also use the Astral Projector support on it to be able to do so from ranged, if you want to minimize risk and play shock ground underneath your enemies. We also have Earthrend supported by Electrocute, so that we can keep the enemies crowd controlled. Then it's just simple. Spam Earthrend, occasionally using Blade Conduit to refresh the charged lightning on all the blades. For stronger enemies, or larger packs, we want to be able to get sand stuns. The best way to do that while clearing is using Combat Frenzy. Simple, now you're generating frenzy charges. With those, we can use Sand Scour to enter sand stuns.
你可以花狂怒球来主动进入沙模式。
To cause sand discs to appear on all of our many buried blades, covering the screen in storms of sand. Of course, you want to use eroding sands too, because as the sand discs
是啊，
are
你这
doing
东西
many
放在下
small
面，啊，我
hits,
们
you want to make sure
我们这
enemies have as little
这个
armor
字
as
幕遮
possible
住啦
for
哦，反
maximum
正护甲
damage.
破坏啊，就是可以
Alongside
配这个东西护甲破
since
坏
we're。doing lightning damage, we're also going to throw in the new support Sandstorm, which causes our sand discs to become infused with lightning.
哦，
The other tool we're using is this support, which causes
激励
all
之
your
刃
buried blades to add miniature auras that give you damage. To double down on that further, we have this new passive skill
当
node,
埋藏之刃在你
which
场
also
边
causes
会
your
获得
buried
怒火，
blades to make you angry, causing you to generate rage on hit while near them.
这种设计都很
With
奇
those,
怪，
we
跟某个
want
技能
even
绑定
more
在一起
buried
的。
blades. So let's take it to the extreme. And for that, we have this skill, Rain of Steel, which allows you to call down a whole ruckus of swords, covering the entire battlefield in buried blades. It's pretty obvious what to do next. Just use the existing combos, and the entire screen becomes surging with lightning as sand discs run wild. There's more coming even still. Alongside the Duelist, we've made a
我
whole
觉得如果现在会
bunch
介绍
of
那么
new
多职业，
epic
代表
swords.
1.0还会有一
I
个新的
mean,
武器类型。
just look at them all.
1.0应该还会有一个新的武器类型。他们是这个那么早就先
Which
介绍的
causes
话，
all your buried blades to be
哦，你的
enhanced
埋藏
by
之刃
Cartery
视为被
magic
先祖强
and
化。
become ancestrally boosted. Then take these new passive skill notables specifically for boosted attacks to improve your efficiency even further. There's a few new ways to boost attacks with the Duelist, and we're excited for you to discover and integrate
然后
them
还要再
into
介绍
your
一只 build
builds.
吗？
With all
这边就
that
全部跟你
combined,
介绍
look at
的
this
话，一定
actual
就是
mayhem.
为了之后还有其他事情能介绍吧？要不然在1.0发布会要干嘛？
Now,
他
we tried
刚
to
刚打
not
那
use
只
unique
怪物
items
血
on
量
this
是
build,
330 万
as we
哎，
wanted to show
他
its
几乎
potential
是
with just standard
2秒
gear and
330万哎
skills.。But this next one is a different story. So, let's move on to our second build. Here we have the
天
Scourge
灾行
Walker.
者，
For this build, we wanted to do Cyclone with a twist. For that, we're going to use some uniques, starting with a new sword being introduced
欧
alongside
罗的
the
贡
Duelist.
品。
Oro's
老朋友，
Sacrifice.
哇，这把怎么那么不红啊？
This sword grants a ton of fire damage at the expense of your physical damage.
狂怒球，你的
And
牺牲
grants
之
a
眼满
new
的时候
skill
狂怒球。
called Infernal Step. Infernal Step itself is pretty
哦，
fun
散打。
and pretty epic. Use it as you flicker around, burning enemies as you strike them. Be wary though. There are both upsides and downsides to using this skill consecutively.
它会烧你
Each
的
use
血。
gains you a stack of sacrificial flame. While this isn't inherently a downside, using Infernal Step while you have sacrificial flame causes you to take fire damage, and the more you have, the more you take. So you want to make sure you mitigate as much fire damage taken as possible.
OK，七打副铁匠，
In
欧
order
罗
to
公
do
欧罗
this,
公平散
we're
打。
using even more uniques. Like these, which have received some changes. Molten Tenet and Zoph's
宝贝，他
Blood.
怎么穿的跟七打
Then
副铁
we've
匠一
just
样？
gone and used good armor gear in our core armor slots to stack up as much defense as possible. So, what about damage? We're doing a few things here that are pretty out there. Given we're using Oro's Sacrifice, we're dealing
欧罗公
purely
平只能
fire.
造成火焰伤害，没有物理伤害。
We still need to be able to bleed for some huge DPS you'll see soon. To do that, we're using this unique ring, Blistering Bomb.
这已经有出了，
This allows our fire damage to scale bleeding
到底怎样？
instead of physical damage. Our last unique is Barrack's Respite. As said originally, we want a Cyclone, which is a wind skill, and can benefit from
有旋风
elemental
标
ground
签，旋风
surfaces.
弹有旋风标签。
Now, our Cyclone is a fiery vortex. One last thing to note before showcasing our Scourge Walker in action is that Oro's Sacrifice also grants you frenzy charges while at maximum sacrificial flame. This will allow us to fold Bloodied Blade into our rotation between Cyclone sessions to get Blood Enhanced Cyclone. Alright, now you can see our basic rotation. First, we use Infernal Step a few times. Then, once
为
we
什么
have a
不一
frenzy
直用
charge,
散打呢？
we use Bloodied Blade. This puts us in Blood stance. And then it's simple. Cyclone
那
away.
为什么不一直散打就好？
As you can see, we have the perfect harmony of demonic powers. Blood and fire fill the screen.
那为什么不一直？
Honestly though,
那
we
那
need
要不
to
要一直
add
按
some
散打就
horror
好
and
了？
flesh to the build to really embrace the fantasy. For that, let's use this new support gem, which we will put on our Cyclone. Given we're already bleeding, this can cause enemies to shed chunks of flesh when hit, which explode after a short delay. Check out this ruckus. Oh, and while we're at it, let's add even more fire by using the Fan the Flame support.
是啊，我到底要点燃敌人干嘛？这个旋风弹是多段打击数，啊，我带着这个多段打击的点燃去点燃敌人干嘛？这游戏又没有焦灼。
So, you want to throw on Echoing Strikes, which consumes all your frenzy charges to cause our next Cyclone to create a bunch of Cyclones.
只要玩五阵，
Feel free to add Infernal
但谁要
Fire
玩
to the
武圣
mix, because why not?
我自己就是武圣，我怎么
Well,
玩
it's
武圣
already？pretty damn strong, but we can push it further.
Come on.
What about single target? For that, we're going to make use of our second weapon set and use a one-hand sword and Targe, which grants parry. However, instead of using a regular Targe, we're going to use this Runeforged Targe, which grants us a special version of parry that maintains its stances when used. So if you are in Blood stance and use it, you will remain in Blood stance afterwards. This includes while using the dashing parry that Jonathan mentioned earlier. We are going to want our parry debuff duration to be as long as possible, so we can spend more time spinning. To get that, we're using another new sword base type. This one adds base duration to parry, fire damage. So now we just get into Blood stance using Bloodied Blade, use parry, which dashes in, keeping us in Blood stance, then we Cyclone our way to glory. Don't forget to also use Echoing Strikes once you get enough frenzy charges. I mean, just look at this damage. You may have noticed we didn't show any Ascendancy classes. That's right, these builds weren't even Ascended, so their build potential goes so much higher. And the Ascendancies are pretty epic. Here's some art to tease them.
冠
But to
军
find out more
跟
about that,
楚行
you
吗
have？to check them
我
out
不要
when
那
we
个
show
怎
them
么
in
那么多
XCOM
武器
later
类
this
型
year.
啊？他身上带着
We hope
弓
you
箭又
enjoyed
带着
our
矛
Duelist
哎，
demonstration. We're really excited to have you get
他
your
刚
hands
身
in
上
it
带着弓箭
and
又
start
矛又
slicing
有
and
两把
dicing
剑，然后
through
手上又拿一把
our
剑，
Now, Path of
他可以
Exile 2's
他可以
full
5、6个
1.0 launch
武器
is
吗？
later this
啊？
year on December 11th. But if you just can't wait till then, Next week we are doing our 055
OK， 谢谢，终于要讲 0.5.5 了。
bunch of changes.
终于要讲你现在才要讲 0.5.5。
Given that, it's
禁忌
finally
仪
time
式
to talk about Forbidden Rites, a new event based on the Ritual League that will be starting with our 055 patch.
OK，Ritual 要重置吧？应该就是 Ritual 又要重置之类
We
的。
also have a massive overhaul to the Trial of Chaos,
OK
some new Endgame Abyss content, and more. So, let's dive straight into it. The King in the Mists and his cultists, left unchecked, have spread their influence. By his will, the Nameless have been performing gruesome rituals throughout Rayclast, all the way from the forests of Ogum to the deserts of the Marraketh, and even Utsal and the Karui Islands, afflicting everything around them with a foreboding darkness. As you can see, they've been quite successful in their efforts, and if not stopped soon, who knows what will become of Rayclast.
多了这什么祭祀的东西。
During the Forbidden Rites event, your goal is to put an end to their nefarious plans. In each area of the campaign, you'll find a ritual encounter. For those unfamiliar, these are effigies that are guarded by the Nameless and their servants. By defeating them within the ritual site, you can then activate the effigy and fight them again as they are revived by dark magic, all whilst various plagues will try to kill you.
OK，
Defeating the revived monsters causes their blood to go to the effigy to be used as tribute. After the encounter, use the tribute you earned
OK，
to
从零开始
acquire
接到公平。
rewards. These rituals, unlike their in-game
比方说不一样。
counterparts, will not exclusively reward unique items, and instead will give you a bunch of items useful for leveling,
OK，
like
反正
currency for crafting your gear,
哦
alongside a bunch of equipment.
好，
Ultimately,
哇靠，
in
这把
every
弓，这把
area,
石弩
you
也
get
太
to
大
kill
了
some
吧！
monsters
看那把
and
石弩
then
也
go
太
on a
大了
small
吧。
shopping spree. However, we know people liked having unique item rewards from Ritual, and we wanted that to still be present in the campaign, but we just couldn't give one out in every single area.
这边有画家手，画
Throughout
手
each
好弱的话，
act,
其实
two times, and
Oh.
once in each interlude part, you'll see these
每一张
clusters
会
of
找
more
到这
epic
种
ritual effigies on the world map. When you reach these areas,
就是更
you'll
宝宝巴
notice
士
that
化
unlike
了。
normal, the effigies aren't just in a random location in the area,
这一次的
but
闪
they're
回
on
联盟
top
的
of
特
the
色，
area's boss fight.
就是每
By
张地图
completing these boss
campaign 都给你
rituals,
这个祭
the
祀。
boss will then be carried forward and added to the next ritual in the cluster in the next area, where you'll face it as part of an increasingly dangerous series of boss waves. For example, the first cluster you'll encounter is shown here, containing large effigies in Clearfell, Mudburrow, the Grelwood, and the Grim Tangle. If you complete the ritual in Clearfell, the Hag boss will appear during the ritual in the Mudburrow, alongside the Devourer. Once you've completed that area, the ritual in the Grelwood will include Brambleghast, alongside the Hag and the Devourer. Then, to top it off, when you get to Grim Tangle, the ritual in that area
没
will
关
have
系啊，
its
大家都只玩
boss,
旋
the
风
boss
啊
and，Druid,
没关系啊，
and
啊
the
刚好又
previous
祭祀，
three,
大家都只玩旋
totaling
风
4
就可以
boss
了
fights
啊。
in one epic final showdown.
我第一张不想要打
That's
十
where
大
the
战
unique
啊，
rewards come into play. By completing these epic boss ritual
然后拿
encounters,
这些东
you
西
then get to spend your
这些
tribute
东西到
on
底为什么
unique
要第一
items.
张打？那
Given
几只
ritual is
BOSS
the
我可能打
content
10分钟，然后
we
换这样
wanted to
子。
make sure it worked in multiplayer well. Historically, only the creator of the area gets to spend tribute at the end, while your friends just have to watch.
要也是第三张、
We've
第
made
四
some
张再打
improvements
吧，
to this
没必要。
experience. In 055, every party member earns their own tribute and can spend it on their
感觉
own
这个东西
rewards.
会，
So no
这
one
东西
has
会被
to
玩
miss
坏
out.
呢，所以我
In
全部的
order
祭
to
祀
make
杯
it
牌
not too rewarding in groups,
哦 OK，他们
we've
要讲了。
restricted it so party members are unable to reroll the shop, and they have fewer options available
OK，
to choose
他们
from.
东西会选择会比较少，
So
但
that's the
是
campaign
做来
and the
还是可以
multiplayer
吃3个
improvements.
祭祀杯牌
But
啊
what。about the endgame? Given that ritual was already available to be added to your maps, well, once you reach the endgame, you'll still have ritual encounters in every area, and they'll still give unique items and omens, but we've added one extra mechanic here to add new difficulty and reward heights to your endgame maps.
不知道怎么那么卡。
After completing rituals in endgame, you want to keep an eye out for this item, a sacred bloom,
拿黄
which you can
绿是
spend
黄绿
tribute，on to acquire.
一代的白
If you
花，
happen to find one, you can then use it and apply an entrance to the Wildwood to an in-game map
Oh,
of
让
your
你
choice
吸
on
粉。
the Atlas. Then, when you enter that map, you'll find this entrance at the start of the area. By entering it, you're sent into the Wildwood. You have limited time here, but while in the Wildwood, you can find wisps, and you want to follow the trails of them and collect as many as possible. There are 3 different types of wisps: primal, vivid,
这个2代的玩家们可能不知道， 基本联盟是有史以来 POE 最棒的赛季 ，POE1 最棒的赛季，这个是非常非常大家很喜欢的一个赛季。
Primal wisps, when freed, can cause normal monsters to become magic monsters.
哦，有改，
Vivid wisps, when
有改效果，不是加通货
additional modifiers to
物品数量、
rare
物品稀有度了。
And wild wisps add rarity of items drop to all monsters.
哦，
If you're really lucky, keep an eye out for these sacred
那感觉就是
wisps.
黄色呢。
Wonder what they do. Of course, you can gather all 3 types of wisps if you really want to juice your maps. And by using ritual tablets, you can increase the amount of wisps found while in the Wildwood. Be warned though, while affected monsters drop better items, the wisps also empower them, making them
OK， 终
considerably
于有
more
终局的内容
difficult to
打了
defeat.
吗？哎呀，不要再卡了，行吗，哥们？
That's the Forbidden Rites event. While it isn't a full league in the traditional sense, it gives you the perfect opportunity to start
还是给你一
a fresh
个
economy.
新的展位联盟一
For
点
those
新
of
的
you
有
who
趣的
enjoy
事
having
情。
clear goals to work towards, this event league
哦，
also
还有新的
introduces
挑
a
战
new set of 8 challenges. These include completing the campaign rituals, defeating named rare monsters, reaching level 90, and more. Completing them will earn you 4 exclusive cosmetic rewards
这个2代真的
and
是
a
好看
statue
很
for your
多
hideout to
1代根本
commemorate
懒
your
得解
success.
2代哦，2代超帅。
Swarm your enemies with the locust footprint effect. And send your foes scurrying to their demise with the locust swarm finisher effect.
哇，这个密集恐惧
Fear
症
the
哎，
dark no longer with your wildwood
好
guardian
可爱
pet at
哎
your，
好
side.
可爱哦，幽光
And
哎，
level up in fashion with the wildwood affliction level up effect.
好可爱哦。刚刚有一
Next,
个摩托车
let's
霸三的
talk
幽光在
about
旁
the
边
Trial
哎。
of Chaos. Since
OK，
early access launched, we've received a lot of feedback about the Trial
混
of
沌
Chaos.
试炼有史以
It
来
was
最
just
垃
obvious
圾
that
的
it
东
wasn't
西。
good enough. So we've gone through pretty much every part of this trial and made improvements across the board. There's so much to cover here, so let's just fire away with some of the more important changes. Starting with a banger. You can
Okay.
now leave the Trial of Chaos between rooms
Okay.
and resume later at your leisure.
2年做一个试炼可以中途离开有那么难吗？GG，
Alongside
2年
improving
才出
almost
哎。
every aspect of the encounter types, we've made far more of the rooms just about slaying all
OK，
the
只是单纯
enemies.
杀敌，也不用那
Instead
边
of the more specific
送东西
objectives
了。
like escorting the
哦，
statue
天哪。
or implanting soul cores.
谢谢。
We've increased the size of that pesky
Okay, 谢谢。
elevator and made them more responsive. We've made the doors between rooms open quicker and from further away.
Okay.
We've shortened the distance between rooms to have less running. We've added a lot more inherent scaling to the area and to the Trial of Sekimas too, to account for the lack of Atlas Tree. We've made the Trial Master only time freeze to spawn in all the monsters once at the start
Okay,
of the run,
okay.
instead of in many of the rooms. On top of that, we have done a full pass on all the modifiers, making them significantly less dangerous at lower tiers, and rising to the same difficulty at their maximum tier. Additionally, all the modifiers now
Okay.
grant bonuses to item rarity too. The modifiers now also have better descriptions, being more explicit about what danger you're signing up for. We've also added a new kind of modifier, called a wager modifier. These are meta mods that can significantly increase the danger and reward of your trial. For example, this one increases the tier of
增加你
every
全部词对
modifier
一节，
already
但是
applied to
所
your
有
run.
的
But in
通货
exchange
物品
for
奖励
that,
都翻倍。
doubles all the currency you've earned so far in the run. There's about a dozen of these, and
一
they
代
have
会
some
不会
pretty
后来
interesting
也会
effects.
反馈给一代啊
Sometimes？ you want to apply them early in the run,
哦呦哦
other
呦哦
times
呦，
late.
哥们，
They add a very cool dynamic element to the mod selection between rooms. The Uxmal, the Beast Lord boss fight in the Trial of Chaos, has had its arena redesigned
Okay.
entirely.
Oh,
Less
谢谢。
flying, more attacking.
哦，谢谢，好，谢
The
谢。
more significant
Wait, let me
elite
fair
monsters
fetch you.
that spawn during the Trial of Chaos are now more dangerous, but more rewarding. Speaking of rewards, you can now also find these chests between each room to get some bonus
每一
items.
个
for your
房间
efforts.
都会给你一个宝箱，
And the rewards available when choosing modifiers no longer offer
哦，
random
不会再给你
corrupted
腐化
items.
物品了，
Now
现在会给你
exclusively
通货
offering
跟
only
零和，
currency
哇，只会给
items
你
and
通货
soul
跟零
cores.
和。
Oh,
我们
and
看
we've
到
done
一
a
堆
full balance
Exile
pass on
game 会有
those
什么
two
镜
to make
子
them more？
哪个
powerful,
试炼出镜子了吗？
alongside adding some new ones to the trial and endgame.
哦，
Speaking of
刚
the
有一个
trial
效
and
果是你
endgame,
插进
for
去
those
的话，会
looking
让你
for
的
a
腐化
greater
结果必定
challenge,
改变
you'll。no longer need to have to stop after 10 rooms. You can now continue all the way to room 30, with the difficulty and rewards escalating as you progress. Combined with the previously mentioned wager modifiers, the rewards of these runs can get very, very juicy.
二代圣所，
Reaching these later rooms will also allow you to obtain all
that's
3
awesome.
Trial
What's up?
Master fragments in a single run, giving skilled players a clear and reliable path towards facing the Trial Master
Okay, 他
rather
必定会
than
给
leaving
你
their progress entirely to chance. We've moved the functionality of the wager currency mechanic from magic inscribed ultimatums that could drop from the Trial Master into the base mechanic. This can
OK，
be accessed at the end of every 10th room. Overall, this is a much more polished version of the Trial of Chaos, and we think it addresses many of the concerns players have raised over the past several months.
这改太久了。
When we introduced the new endgame and Return of the Ancients, we wanted the journey through the fortress to feel epic, and it was. But your first time progressing through
对，
it is
终
a
于
massive
会改
undertaking.
吗？
With a fresh economy, we wanted to make the fortress easier to complete. So in 055, we're making some changes. After completing the main quest line, you can now just venture out of the fortress and find another Arbiter of Divinity key. By defeating this more difficult version of the boss, all remaining sections of the fortress will be automatically completed. Now, onwards to Abyss. We're introducing a new Atlas feature centered around it. We wanted to add more things to find when exploring the Infinite Atlas. So, we've added these new
深渊裂
abyssal
谷，
ravines
深渊
that
有
can
新的终局
appear.
内容。
Each map on the ravines has abysses in it, and as you complete each along it, the next map gets more and more rewarding as you push the Abyssal Legion back. When you reach the last map on the ravine, you'll have a guaranteed Abyssal boss encounter. The Forbidden Rites event will not have Runes of Aldo content in each area. But fret not. Pharaoh, Danig, and Expedition content is still going to be available in the Atlas as core, and that includes standard leagues. You can now continue to find expeditions in-game, but from Act 4 onwards. In the endgame, expedition tablets will now be available,
OK，
allowing for some new levels of investment into the
Oh.
league.
哦，可以耶，
Such
这
as
探险10
having
倍
2
了。
full expeditions in just one area,
哇，有2次探险，
alongside up to 2 standalone remnant encounters.
哇，
With tablet mods, you can now even get many sentries per expedition, resembling an almost sentry
太多少
minion
位了
build
吧？
as you run around and apply runic modifiers to monsters across the maps. The existing Runes of Aldo League will continue to run, so if you want to keep playing there, finishing your endgame and completing challenges, feel free to do so. So
原
that's all
赛
our
季
new
会留在那
content
边。
summarized for this event league.
这3个赛
and
季
055
东西
update.
没有很多，但
In case you
对，
didn't
就
see
是
it alongside Path of
还蛮
Exile
明
1's
显的。
release for Curse of the Allflame, here's a reminder to check out our supporter packs
哦
and mystery box that release with it, which are now fully available for use in
哦，
Path of
新的
Exile
箱
2
子，
as
新的箱
well.
子有长人数哦。
These
大家
include
去看一下。
Plague and
还没看过
Remedies
这个。
supporter packs, and the Curse of the Allflame mystery box, with some epic items including armor sets, weapon skins,
在2代都好看很多，不知道为什么。
map
这些
devices,
造型在1代都没什么感觉，2代都好看差太多了。
a new tracking scroll, some otters, and much more. If you would like to purchase the Curse of the Allflame mystery box, it's available now through the in-game shop and Path of Exile 2 website. For more information, head to pathofexile2.com/mystery
今天
box
的
for all
送
the
奖励是不是
details.
送1箱啊？
We'll also be releasing some
什么
cool
鬼
new armor sets and
刚
skill
刚那个东
effects
西
alongside
是
this
快打旋风的
release.
东西啊！
Check these out. If you're interested, keep an eye out on the store with the new release. Thanks for your support. Now, we had originally thought we were going to deploy a much larger balance pass in this patch. But unfortunately, with all the other work going on for our 1.0 release, we were not able to get these changes ready in time. It's been a lot more work than we expected. So rather than deploy something substandard, we decided it would be better to take our time with the balance changes and just release the Event League anyway. All those balance changes that were slated for 055 will now be happening in 1.0 instead. The full release patch is shaping up to be a huge one, and if you haven't done so yet, you can acquire exclusive milestone rewards just by signing up at pathofexile2.com for the 1.0 full release. Also, we hope you join us for ExileCon on November 7th New Zealand time to see what else we've been cooking up. But in the meantime, we hope you enjoy the Forbidden Rites event, which starts at the end of next week. See you in Rayclast.
我们是白痴吗？我们是白痴吗？我们半夜不睡干嘛？啊，你这个出发表会冲他小，那你干脆不要发表会。啊你这发表会出了跟没有一样。这发表会在干嘛？你完全没有任何平衡改动，不就全部人玩古灵？你们第一招玩什么？来，我问你们，如果没有任何平衡改动，你们第一招玩什么？不是全部人玩古灵？看。到底是什么东西？这什么垃圾？我靠，这到底什么垃圾？我靠，我真的是没有意料到 GG 居然直接跟你说我们做不完欸，真不敢相信。这个发表会他们是上个礼拜说要发表会，哇！我跟你讲，我们3.29不做了哦，我们0.5有发表会哦。你宣布发表会的时候，你们这个影片还没做完吗？所以你们是昨天说，我们做不完嘞，怎么办？不然那个 Mark 你去录一下啦，我们做不完啦。3.29你死的好惨啊！你死是为了什么？